Welcome back. This is episode 2 of my economy series. In this one, we will build an automatic shop that connects with your custom economy. If you haven't built your custom economy yet, I do have a video out already. It should be appearing in the top right hand corner right now. Otherwise, let's begin. As usual, some things before we start. This system will require command blocks and operator status. It is designed to work with a custom economy. So again, if you haven't got one set up yet, now's the time to do it. This shop will also cover single items and kits. I'll explain what they are as we go on. 8 command blocks in total for this build, as well as 1 repeater set to 2 ticks, 1 bit of redstone dust, and a button. Very easy layout. A couple of notes to make the build and any troubleshooting much easier. Make sure all the arrows are pointing the same way. Putting a hover note is advised, especially if you want to customize the shop further at a later date. I'll explain the hover notes as we go through. All sounds and titles are optional, but will make the entire experience far more enjoyable for players on the server. All of these commands will target the nearest player as they are the one using the system, so we will only need the @p for the commands. Also, it's worth mentioning here, all of our orange blocks will use this setup. And all of the green ones will use this one. It saves me having to repeat it every single time. These blocks are the Rejection Row, for players that don't have the funds for the purchase. This first one will test whether or not the player can afford the item. Add this command into the first block. The number here should be 1 less than whatever the price of your item is. For this example, we'll be selling 5 diamonds for 1,000 cash. So we will make this number 999. Make sure it's set to impulse and needs redstone. Conditional or unconditional does not matter on these. The bottom 2 options won't even be needed for this tutorial. I would recommend using a hover note here and in each consecutive block to help you remember what the block does without having to interact with it. If you've got a shop that sells many different items and you have many of these systems set up, it can get quite overwhelming. So having the notes above the block will help you to be able to find out exactly where you are, especially if you want to change prices or items at a later date. This is our title command. As I said at the start, this is totally optional. Once again, we are opting for the action bar option here. If you would like to see your other options, head back and check my economy building video. This will be the message we display to the player to let them know the transaction failed. You're free to customize the format in here, making sure, as ever, to drop one of these at the end. This is where you can add a sound effect to your system. Again, totally optional. There are a huge number of sound effects you can use here. I'll put a link in the description to all the available sounds. I like to use the beacon.deactivate sound as it works well with a failed transaction. With that, you have the system that will display a failed transaction just like that. Similar to the previous orange block, this one will test to see if the player can afford the item you're selling. Go ahead and input this command. The difference this time is we will make this number the exact same as what you plan to sell the item for. As we're selling for 1,000 cash, we make this number 1,000. This block will remove the total required from the player. Use this command here. Remember, this number is the price of the item, so 1,000 is what we want here. This block will be responsible for giving the player the purchased item. Add this command. The item will of course be the item you want to sell, and the amount is, you guessed it, just how many of them you're selling. For this example, we are using diamonds and a quantity of 5. If you want to sell multiple different items or shulker boxes of items, I will explain how we do that later in the video. Okay, another title command, this time for a successful purchase. Again, this is totally optional and you are free to customize this however you like. And once again, remember to use this guy right at the end. Our final block for this example is another optional sound effect. Again, links to the sounds are in the description, so feel free to change it up how you like. I've always used random.orb, so that's what I'll use for this example. This is now a fully functioning automatic shop. It's super reliable and won't require maintenance, unless an update rolls around and breaks it, of course. The only downside is that this only gives single items, so what if we wanted to give multiple items or special kits? Let me show you. First of all, set a barrel down here on the floor. This is where purchased items can be collected. Next, place a barrel somewhere at the end of your line of command blocks. It's really up to you where you place this, but I'd recommend putting it just under the line. Now, fill this one with all the items you want to sell. Let's say 2 diamonds, an iron sword, and a shulker box with some goodies in. And even a receipt just for fun. Once you've decided what you want to sell, we're going back into block 3 on the top row. This is the block with the give command. We're going to remove the give command and replace it with this one. This section is the coordinates of the barrel that you filled with items. You'll need to write the same coordinates twice, as they function as a kind of start and end range for coordinate cloning. This section is the coordinates of your empty barrel. Upon a successful transaction, the empty barrel will be replaced with a one that has items. Your stock barrel will remain full and ready to be purchased again. There are other options you can use for this system, such as chests and dispensers. All of them will work fine. Unfortunately, Bedrock still does not allow the use of MBT tags and commands, which is why we just can't use a give command to receive, for example, an enchanted sword. But this is an effective workaround. With that, your store is open for business. But there is just one thing. That sure does look really easy to steal from. There are 2 clear options here. Both are very easy to do. One, simply encase the entire thing in Bedrock and decorate around it. Effective, but let's be honest, Bedrock is kind of ugly. The second option is using deny blocks. Simply cover the floor with these, including under the walls. That way, these blocks, no matter what they are, cannot be destroyed in survival mode. Well, as long as they're blast proof anyway. I would also recommend putting allow blocks as a kind of lid on your deny box. That way, if you ever decide to build on top of your shop, there won't be any interference from the deny blocks. With that, you now have a fully customizable automatic shop fully integrated with your economy system. Naturally, these can be altered in many ways. For example, instead of buying items, you could buy enchantments, effects like mining speed, potion effects like night vision, or it can even function as a way to pay for teleportation services. Next time, I will be making a video that explains how to make a shop where you can sell your items and resources for cash. If these videos help you, please consider liking and subscribing, as I am trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of 2024. If you have any questions about the tutorial, drop me a comment and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.